sick and tired. I've been working hard, of course, and I don't wanna fall no more. I think I gotta go, but every time I move away, the grass is never greener anyway, so it's all a waste. I just wanna find a place where everything is real and not fake, cause I know I ain't safe, but I don't really know anymore, so I go for the door, ain't coming back for sure, yeah. I hear people calling out my name, some wonder why I changed, didn't wanna stay the same, nah. They wanna see me fail, but I remain. I'm a vet up in this game, I ain't going back again, nah. I just spent 9 years up in the pen, I'm not into making friends, they gon' leave you in the end, yeah. And I just wanna go, but I don't know where. Feeling lost and it shows, but I know you don't care. I've been working to get here, 100+ your loss this year. I just wish the way was clear. When I pray, I hope you hear. I keep falling all the time, I don't know what's wrong or right. I just know I gotta fight it, and I am sick and tired. I've been working to get here, 100+ your loss this year. I just wish the way was clear. When I pray, I hope you hear. I keep falling all the time, I don't know what's wrong or right. I just know I gotta fight it, and I am sick and tired. I'm not really sure what's going on. In the storm I will stay calm, trusting God been all along, yeah. I've been going up and I've been down, over there and all around. I'm just trying to find my sound, yeah. I just wanna go, I don't wanna stay. If I know I'm gonna lose, then I don't wanna play. Everybody knows where I am, I don't know who I am. I just wanna make amends, yeah. I just wanna set some trends, yeah. 2020's been my best year. Yeah, am I going, am I staying? I ain't hearing what they saying, they're cursing, I am praying, yeah. All the voices run away in fear. All the choices that I made are clear, yeah. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but I'm claiming that it's worth it. I've been working just to get here. I've been working to get here, 100+ your loss this year. I just wish the way was clear. When I pray, I hope you hear. I keep falling all the time, I don't know what's wrong or right. I just know I gotta fight it, and I am sick and tired. I've been working to get here, 100+ your loss this year. I just wish the way was clear. When I pray, I hope you hear. I keep falling all the time, I don't know what's wrong or right. I just know I gotta fight it, and I am sick and tired. I'm so sick and tired. I feel like I'm surrounded by a bunch of liars. I'm so sick and tired. I feel like I'm surrounded by a bunch of liars. So sick. I'm just sick and tired. I'm so sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. I'm so sick and tired. I've been working to get here, 100+ your loss this year. I just wish the way was clear. When I pray, I hope you hear. I keep falling all the time, I don't know what's wrong or right. I just know I gotta fight it, and I am sick and tired. I've been working to get here, 100+ your loss this year. I just wish the way was clear. When I pray, I hope you hear. I keep falling all the time, I don't know what's wrong or right. I just know I gotta fight it, and I am sick and tired. I am sick and tired, sick and tired. Sick and tired, sick and tired. I am sick and tired, sick and tired.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Good evening to John and Grumpy. And I better say hello to Catz as well.
Hello, how are you doing?
At least my mic isn't muted this week.
Oh, brilliant. Well, what a start.
Bit different from the usual intro we play, which is just some copyright-free music I found on the internet.
Yeah, that was good. Well, should we introduce the guests and they can talk a little bit about themselves before we get on with or should we talk about what the show's going to be about and then introduce the guests? What do you think?
Talk about what the show's going to be about first, and then the guests can introduce themselves.
That's excellent. That's why you're the professional streamer.
I'm an ideas man. I'm full of ideas.
That's why you're allowed to. That's why you're allowed to have the lights on.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyone who watched the debate last week, I think it was last week, maybe the week before, with Sarcastic Barman on about the death penalty, will have noticed in the chat, Grumpy Old Dude was in the chat. He's right below me here on the screen, and we've had him on before, and it was one of the most fascinating shows I think we've done, where he talked about his history and his story, and I'd highly recommend that. I'll link it in the channel later on. And the topic of rehabilitation and the prison system came up, and Facty, who's in the chat now, so thank you so much for this, Facty, suggested an excellent guest to get on as well to talk about this would be Mr. Jon Snow, who's down here. So that's how we've arrived at this. They were both up for doing this. That was superb. But I want to introduce them both because they've both got channels of their own, things that we that I want to give them a chance to promote, etc. So, John, it's your first time on. Do you want to tell us all about yourself and just shill yourself? The link to your channel's in the description. Direct people there, but just shill yourself silly. Off you go.
Yo, what's up, guys? My name is Jon Snow. I'm a recording artist from Canada, East Coast, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Actually, people say I'm a paid shill on MC Toon's show. They've said I'm a paid shill, but I've never seen any pays yet. So maybe next time. Maybe it's in the mail, right? The payment's coming. But no, you guys can find me. There's links in the description. Go give a subscribe and check out some of my videos. I put all of my heart into it. And the reason why I'm on this show is because I did 9 years in the penitentiary, in the prison system. So they wanted to talk about that. And I'm down. I'm down. This is one thing I actually know about. So let's get it.
And your channel is linked in the description.
Yeah.
It is the link to the song we've just played, and anyone who's going to follow my Twitter over the next few days and community posts will see a lot of your stuff. Grumpy Old Dude, we've had you on before. It was an amazing honestly, I still talk about it now. It was great, fascinating story. Just shill yourself out to those people who missed it.
All right, well, I am the Grumpy Old Dude. I am here today because of my prison experience. I spent 12 years, 7 months, and 19 days incarcerated in the New Jersey prison system. I've also spent 37 months in prison in the state of Pennsylvania. I'm also a former white supremacist who now has a YouTube channel debunking hate groups and racism. And I just started a show entitled The Formers, which is for anybody who's an activist in any field and trying to form a better world for all. So if you haven't heard of me or checked me out, please go over to my channel, look at some of my stuff, and hopefully you'll like what you see. Give me a subscription and a thumbs up.
Now, this isn't going to be a debate. I'm not going to try and use the word debate. This is a discussion on something that I don't know if your opinions are going to be similar or different or what, but it's going to be a discussion on something that I think is going to be really, really interesting. So if you're in the chat, please just be spamming your questions as much as you can. I've got some questions I want to put to them, maybe to kick off your chat, and then we'll just see what you say. But just dump your questions in as often as you can. And we'll just kind of let your questions direct the chat. Creaky, have you seen anything so far?
Nothing much is going on in the side chat yet, but I'm sure that will change very, very soon.
Yeah, sure. This is going to get quite interesting. Right. So the question I want to start off with, and then I'm just going to leave it over to you just to discuss the question, see what comes out of it, because this is about the potential of the prison system to rehabilitate or not rehabilitate. So I just want to ask, like, from your experience, how many people did you see come into prison and then leave much, much better people or rehabilitate people? Like, how often did you see that? Yeah, you guys crack on, yeah.
Let's start first. I see more people come back during parole. It's a revolving door. They just keep coming back, and it's like the same faces over and over. I didn't see much of the rotation. I've seen a lot of like a repetition and coming back. But there wasn't much of they treat us like kids in there, man. They treat us like we're kids, and sometimes we have to act like kids just to get stuff. Like you have to act out just to get anything. It's not the place you want to be. Kids, don't go to jail.
Yeah, I'm sure some of the stuff that John and I are going to talk about is similar, but I'm sure a lot of it's going to be different because he did time in Canada and I did time here in the States. So But he's definitely right. I saw more people come back than I saw get rehabilitated, especially towards the latter part of my sentence, because here in the U.S., especially in New Jersey, they started taking more and more and more programs that were for rehabilitating people to teach them job skills and things like that. All that stuff went away, and it just became prison for punishment. And a lot of people just came to jail and learned how to be better criminals. So when they got out, they committed bigger crimes thinking they were going to get away with it, and came back with even more time.
So what kind of, when people use the word like deterrent, was it a deterrent then, or do people just think, oh, I'll just not get caught next time?
I think a lot of people, like I said, they would come to prison for, say, burglaries, and not even doing a home burglary, just like breaking into a store that was closed down for the night. And, it's not a victimless crime. They claim that it is because nobody's there or whatever. It's a structural crime, but you still have a victim. You're stealing from somebody. But regardless, they would come to jail with a light sentence for burglary. And then they, talk to guys that were in there for bank robbery or whatever. And the next thing you know, these guys are out there committing strong arm robbery or bank robberies or knocking off supermarkets and coming back with 20-year sentences.
I've seen a lot of guys. They get institutionalized. They spend years and years and years in, and then when they get out, they're so uncomfortable being on the street. That's all they know, and they just keep coming back. And I've seen that a lot of times. And it's when you're in jail, man. There's a whole mentality. You kind of have to switch off the street mentality, and you got to go into jail mode. And it's hard because you want to trust people. You want to be people. They'll trick you. They'll lie to you. They'll tell you what you want to hear. You can't trust anybody in prison. It's definitely mind warfare. Like you gotta. It's not the place to be. But people get so comfortable in it. Like really, what is there? Everything's supplied to you. Toilet paper, food. It's all given to you, man. It's a very easy lifestyle to live. Right? I mean, it becomes very easy to get in. Stuck in that, like everything's given to you. You don't got to worry about anything. It's sometimes I even feel like life's a bit too much hard out here. Sometimes it'd be easier going back to prison, really.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you that because I know after I did, my big sentence in New Jersey, I did that 12 and a half years. When I first got out, it was a big adjustment. I went to jail in 1991. I didn't get out until 2004. And everything had changed. Money, clothes, cars, everything was different. And I panicked for the first few months and thought about just punching a cop in the face just to go back.
That's tough. Yeah. I just don't want to see. I just felt so lonely in there. Everyone's. You lose out. You lose out on everything, man. Like it's just. I don't ever want to go back. I just sometimes it's more you just miss your comfortability of your jail, so you can just close it. No one can mess with you. It's just sometimes you just kind of just miss that, and it's a weird feeling to have.
Yeah, and like you said, it's easier in a sense because you don't have to worry about paying any bills or anything. No. You just go through your day and that's it. That's all you worry about is making it through a day.
Yeah.
We're getting quite a few questions. I'm just going to ask people in the chat if you can tag either me in. Are you on the agree to disagree Creaky account there, Creaky?
No, I'm in there as agree to disagree.
So can you so if you can tag me or agree to disagree into the questions, then it'll just be highlighted easier for me.
Shall we ask them as they come in? So that
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not a debate, so it seems pointless to keep. And usually the questions are relevant to what's being spoken about when they ask the question. So if we wait until the end, we'll look, and I can put them up on the screen then, and the guys can see them as well.
Yeah. Sounds good.
There we are. Perfect. Though.
Have you got one? Because if not, I have.
Oh, but if you've got one, if it's a while back, I won't. It'll be difficult to find.
Well, this was one of mine. Like you, essentially something I was going to ask anyway. You mentioned at the beginning that certain rehabilitation programs were not as commonplace as they used to be. I think that's what you said. What would rehabilitation programs look like, though? What kind of form did they take?
Well, for example, when I got convicted and I left the county jail and I got to the state prison system, one of the first places I went to was Trenton State Penitentiary. It's New Jersey State Prison now is what they call it. They had all kinds of vocational programs. They had a welding class. They had masonry, carpentry. You could get certified to be a teacher's aide, construction courses, all kinds of different things. And they took all that from all the prisons. And depending on what prison you were on in the state, there could be different programs. You know, they had a firefighting program in East Jersey State Prison, better known as Rawway. You could actually train to be a volunteer firefighter. You can't do that anymore. You know, you're just there doing time and getting out and with nothing. You know, they've cut back a lot on GED programs. I put myself through college while I was in prison. I got a bachelor's degree in paralegal studies because at that time I was still eligible to get a Pell Grant and take correspondence courses. You can't do that anymore. You're not incarcerated, period.
And what about you, yours, John? What kind of, was it similar kind of programs or?
Well, see, in where I was at, programs there were so like little of them. The funding up in Canada for prisons is going way down. So they're trying to cut stuff. It's all cuts. So a lot of the programs are very overbooked, backed up. So like people are waiting a year to get in a program, and some of these guys only have 2-year sentences. So like they're waiting past their set. Like, and I find the programs they're very childish. They're very kiddish. Very repetitive. It's like they're very like they make you kind of feel like, you know, what am I a kid here? Like, am I a child? Like, but I guess some people have a little like learning disabilities. So I guess it's all different for people how they learn, right? But I find it's very like just very repetitive stuff. Nobody wants to learn it. Most people just go in and just do it. They do the motions. It's all about the motions. Just get it done, get a good mark, and get out of there. Just sort of for the book, right? But I mean, I've seen a few people actually take it serious and like try. And I mean, I guess if you did put your effort into it, yeah, you can get something out of it. It's just sometimes no one wants to do it. No one wants to put in the work.
So it sounds to me like the rehabilitation that you're talking about are programs aimed at giving people skills so they can succeed when they come out. But what about, and I'm sorry, I'm hogging the questions here because I'm fascinated, and I promise I'll pass over to Creaky to give some questions from chat in a minute. But what about people who end up in prison because you know, they've had an upbringing which has been very unsettling, the mind's not in the right place, you know, young people who how can I put it? Just not in a mental state of mind to fit in society. You know, I'm thinking as a teacher, the kind of kids that get kicked out of schools and excluded, etc. Once they're in the prison system, is there a different kind of help for people like that? Is there like a mentoring type program or a psychological type program, that kind of stuff? They
like to put people like that on bad meds like lithium, and they like to get them all messed up so they can barely move. They don't really try to help those kind of guys. They want to just keep them subtle. They want to keep them subdued. Right? They put you on like tranquilizers and olanzapines and all these things to mush your mind, man. It's bad.
Yeah, it's the same, you know, with my experience. You know, they do claim to have, you know, psychologists and psychiatrists and everything, but nobody actually gets in there for any kind of in-depth counseling or anything like that.
Once a year for 15 minutes. That's all you see them for. Once a year for 15 minutes, and they know everything about you.
Wow. Yeah, the most I ever saw, I knew a guy that would go once every 2 months, and it was the same thing, though. He was so drugged up, he didn't even realize he was going for counseling. He was just like, yeah, I got to go see the doctor again. And it didn't faze him at all. It didn't help him.
God. Wow. Creaky, sorry, I've hogged loads of questions there. Have you seen some you want to bring up?
Yeah, right. So Jezza, the Master Reviewer, is saying that he read that some gangs use prison as a training school and command center. So it's not just punishment or rehabilitation. It's being used for a more deadly purpose.
Yeah, Al and I, Creaky and I, Conspiracy Cats and I had talked about this when I came on with my interview with him. I'm a founding member of State Prison Skinheads in New Jersey, what you would call a first tree member. And I definitely use the prison system to bring a lot of people into the white supremacy movement and, feed them a bunch of bogus propaganda. But at the same time, I was kind of training them as much as I could with my martial arts background and teaching them how to be better soldiers, giving them, skills on when you do leave here, if you're out on the street, don't forget how to make a prison weapon in case you don't have anything on hand. You can always take your socks off, fill them up with a bunch of rocks, whatever. These are things I taught guys in prison that wouldn't have known any of this if they didn't come to prison.
Because you were sorry, John, go on.
But no, I'm just gonna say in Canada, the gang system is not as the same up here. Like this is on the east coast of Canada, we don't really have many gangs. I mean, I'm sure there's a few bikers that have been in gangs that are kind of spread out in between, but there's a few. It's more like where you're from. Like, the Nova Scotians hang with the Scotians, and like the Newfoundlands kind of chill with the Newfoundlanders, the Cape Bretoners. We kind of just chill with who we're from. But there's not really much of a serious gang in Canada. I mean, I'm sure out west there's like some bikers and there's native gangs and stuff, but it's not as the same as the States. The States is more like serious business. I wouldn't want to do time in the States.
Well, and let me clarify something. The gangs in the United States are more prevalent on either the East Coast or the West Coast. There are some in the southern states, but like the Midwest, it's a little bit different. They do have gangs, but they're not as violent as the gangs on either coast. For whatever reason, when you get out on the coast, we play for keeps.
So go on quickly. You got a question there?
Yeah. There's another one come in. Iron Charity. Somebody wants to.
Charity.
Yeah, that's it. It doesn't matter. Do you think less religion in prisons would be better?
That's a very good question. And I may be biased in this because I am an atheist. I don't know if less religion would be better per se. I know a lot of people play the system and claim, I found Jesus in prison. I'm saved. I've turned my life over to God, and they really haven't. It's a play to try and get parole or whatever, and there are a lot of Muslim groups that, in my opinion, don't really practice that religion. They are extremists. They're nothing but extreme jihadists. So the problem is, though, we have freedom of religion in the United States. You can't tell somebody what religion they can or cannot practice. So that's something I don't think we can really mess with. I think trying to take that out of prison would just cause more problems.
I disagree. I don't think they should take it out because honestly, I used to go to the chapel, and honestly, the chaplain there, he spent more time with me and gave me time and actually talked to me and helped me through so many situations more than anyone else in that prison ever would. When I was going crazy and I was like, having things happen and I needed someone to talk to, he was there for me. He was there. So I would say more time with people like that who actually care, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I've heard stories like that too, so, and that's why I said I think taking religion out of prison or trying to force it out of prison, that's not a good idea. Yeah.
Are there many problems caused by religion inside the prison system, though? Whereas there are certain prisons have got gang problems, so one gang is going after the other. Are there any similar types of problems based on religion?
In my case, there was, but again, these were extremist religions. The religion that I ended up adopting while I was in prison is called creativity. It's a white supremacist belief. It's a cult. It's nothing but a cult. It's not like any peaceful religion, no matter what they claim. And I'm still waiting for one of them to get ballsy enough to debate me on this channel. And then you have on the opposite side a religion known as Black Hebrew Israelites. They have the same beliefs as white supremacist religion, Christian identity. They say we are the chosen people of God and white people are savages and need to be destroyed. It's an extremist religion, so it did cause problems because, not to mention, like I said, you have these pseudo, Muslims belonging to Nation of Islam and 5% Nation of Gods and Earths, who believe that the white man was created on the island of Patmos by Moses. It's a pseudo belief on either side, white or black, it doesn't matter. And it ends up being more of a gang than a religion.
Yeah, and I would say it doesn't really have much effect up here, really. People just use religion up here just to go to, they sort of just want to just, honestly, a lot of the people go to the church because they have outsiders come in and everyone wants to see people from the outside. They want to go see the girls. They want to go, like, sometimes they go for the wrong reasons, right?
Yeah, and sometimes it's just to get out of the cell, get off the block for a while.
Exactly. Yeah. Canada's much more laid back. Honestly, the prison, like, it wasn't that as violent. Like, if you stay out of trouble, if you avoid trouble and stay out of trouble, you won't get in trouble.
Yeah.
But if you go looking for it, then you're going to find it. But I'm sure in the States you're going to find it no matter where you go.
Yeah, I used to find it on purpose sometimes just to get a break and go to the hole and get away from everybody.
Yeah.
This is a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Lobby for private prisons. Definitely in my opinion, private prisons need to go, and I want to thank our new president Joe Biden for passing the executive order to start shutting them down, because they're nothing more than a multi-billion-dollar industry. They're not there to help anybody. They're just there to make money.
So how's a private prison? So go on.
No, go on, Catz.
I was going to say, like, how's a private prison run differently to a normal one? Are they supposed to be, a franchise is the wrong word, but are they all supposed to conform to the same standards, or is it literally down to whoever is owning that prison?
They're supposed to conform to state regulations and things like that. But at the same time, they don't have to order from the same suppliers as the state. They can order from their buddies, so they can funnel the money back and forth, which in turn ends up going to whichever politicians support those private prisons. It's a scheme. It's nothing more than a money-making scheme.
So, talking about rehabilitation, so obviously there's a cost attached to rehabilitating people that are in prison. So would I be right in assuming that private prisons would be less willing to provide the sort of programs and classes that help with rehabilitation because it comes off their top line, or bottom line rather?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I could only assume that private prisons only give you what you need and barely of that.
Yeah, because the more they give to the inmates, the less profit they've got. So if they're just a private business, why would they want to spend money on anything they don't have to, isn't it?
Here's something private prisons try and use to justify themselves. They claim they do have rehabilitation programs that they run through prison corporations, such as DEPCOR, which is Department of Corrections Corporations. They have inmates working in factory jobs making 42 cents an hour tops, while they're selling these products for hundreds of dollars and making money off of that, and claiming, we're giving them training in how to build, foot lockers and gun lockers for the state police and benches, and making license plates and things like that. Now listen, you're not training anybody. Nobody in the real world is going to get a job making license plates because you only make them in prison.
It's almost like slave labor, really. They're getting cheap labor out of us. Big time.
That relates to the question on screen at the minute. What do you think of that one?
Now, back when I first started my prison time in New Jersey, and they did have actual vocational programs such as welding and masonry and carpentry and things like that, you could get in the program to be bonded, which means you have a federal insurance clause that if somebody does hire you and you do commit a crime while working for that company's not held liable. So they will look at your certifications and say, okay, well, you're bonded, so I don't have to worry about you screwing up my insurance and my business. And since you have the certifications, yeah, we'll give you a shot. We'll take you on because it looks like you know what you're doing. We don't have that anymore, though. You can't do that. And that's part of the biggest problem with the states is if you're not federally bonded, nobody wants to hire an ex-convict, because if you commit a crime while you're working for that company or on that company's property, that company is held liable and can be sued and put out of business.
Cool. I've got a question. I am hogging them, and I do apologise for that. Wouldn't mind both your opinions. This, John, I'm going to start with you though. This one. So we've had a little bit of chat about rehabilitation in the prison and the fact that what the programs might look like and what they're lacking. But is there such a thing as sort of like aftercare in the immediate time when someone's been released, and does that help rehabilitation? What does that look like, or how can it be changed? What do you think?
Well, honestly, there's only there if you search it out. You gotta dig. You gotta dig for it. Like, they don't want to tell you about it because they don't want no one to go to it. Like, they just get you out and pretty much fend for yourself. You have to call different places to get different things. And you're on a waiting list for years. Like, it's very, very, very difficult. Like, I'm out for almost 2 years, and honestly, nobody wants to help me. People seem to forget I just did a decade in jail, and they're expecting me to be already integrated. And I'm still trying to get the my head around just doing 10 years in jail. And I'm trying. We got COVID. I got out of jail to COVID. Come on, right from jail to COVID. Come on, guys, give me a hand here.
Wow.
Well, so if somebody gets released and they have literally got nowhere to go, they've got no home to go and stay in, they've got no money to rent an apartment, they are going to be sleeping on a park bench. Hasn't the prison system over there got a duty of care to at least make sure you've got somewhere to go? Because surely if you didn't, wouldn't that increase the risk of reoffending in some cases?
In Canada, if you go to social assistance, if you just get out of jail, they will give you a startup money thing. They'll give you some kind of help, but that's how far is that going to go, really? How far does that really go? I mean, they do try, but there's not enough.
Before I answer that, I want to commend John. You're doing pretty good for just being out for a couple of years, man. Good job.
Thank you.
Here in the States, it depends. If you have parole, then you can apply for a halfway house. But like John said, you have to search this stuff out. You have to apply for it and hope you get it. If you don't get it, even if you've already been granted parole, you're going to sit in prison until they can find a place for you to go. In my case, back in 2004, I maxed out my sentence, meaning I didn't have any parole or anything. I did the maximum time allotted. So when I got released, they handed me the money that I had in my account at the time and told me, here you go, bus station's down the street, good luck.
Yeah.
So that sounds, basically, am I getting this right? Those people that they say, you know what, we're going to knock a couple of years off your sentence, you can go early, we're going to give you this aftercare in the form of parole. But those people they don't give that offer to get nothing. Is that how it's, does that,
you get
have
nothing.
I read that right?
Yeah, if you max out your sentence, you get nothing. There is no halfway house. There is no, applying for social benefits or anything like that. You're on your own. Good luck.
So if you had no family, literally, they would have happily just let you sleep in the closest bus station or park or...
Up here in Canada, if you have no money in your account when you leave the jail, they give you $50.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can only speak on New Jersey about this. When you leave in New Jersey, whichever prison you're leaving from, depending on what town you're going to, they will give you exact change for a bus ticket to that town. And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Creaky, I'm just thinking, before we do the next question, with this being a slightly different show tonight, should we keep on top of the super chats as they come in, because they may be relevant to?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll read this. I've got it held, see, in a queue to put up on the screen, because
you can do it. All right, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. I've got it all held, so it's
right. See, that's why you're the producer and I'm the just sat here in the dark. Right, so they just come up in the queue of questions. Got you. Okay, sorry, mate.
Yeah. That's all right. No problem. No problem. So the Iron Charioteer nailed it. Do you think that the US should adopt a more European prison system like Sweden and Norway, that are mostly secular countries? I know that Sweden's got an incredibly low crime rate, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's something I honestly can't answer, because I haven't really studied a whole lot about European prison systems.
Yeah, I'm the same boat. I don't really know much about them, so.
Like all Welsh people don't know each other. Everybody in the side chat, not everybody that's been in jail knows everyone else that's been in jail, I would imagine.
Reminds me of a story when I was at school. We had an American kid in my class. He'd come from America, and somebody in a different year came up to me and said, "Oh, were you in the same class as Matthew from America?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Ask him if he knows someone called David." I'm not even kidding. Ask him if he knows. I'm sure he does know someone called David. Anyway, sorry. We were talking about something more serious there. What's that question?
Moot Donkey says, depending on the crime, should those that do their time and are released be given back full rights as a citizen?
I feel like I had my full rights. I don't know what rights they mean that what we would lose.
I think the U.S. is a little different. Depending on what state you're in, you will lose your voting rights if you have a felony conviction, period. You can never vote again. In any state, you cannot own a firearm in any state, which I don't really care about that because there's way too many guns in the U.S. anyway. But I don't think it should be depending on the crime. If you've served your time and you are released, you should have the right to vote in this country. You are still an American citizen. The gun laws definitely need to be changed. That's a whole different topic. I'm not even going to go there, but yes, you should definitely have your rights back. And in my opinion, you should not have a crime over your head for the rest of your life preventing you from getting work. I got convicted in 1992. This is 2021. I still can't get hired at Walmart.
Up here, though, honestly, they need votes so bad, they let us vote in jail. They bring the voters right in. They bring in the polls and everything. We vote in jail, yo. They need votes that bad. They're like, we need your votes, guys. We don't care what you did. We need your votes.
Yeah, and there's a good example of some of the differences. Here in the States, you can't vote while you're in prison. Some states, you can't vote while you're on parole. And again, like I said, some states, if you've ever been convicted of a felony, you can't vote ever again.
Wow. So the whole, what you said there about, struggling when you're on the outside to get jobs and et cetera in certain states, that to me sounds like it could be a hindrance to rehabilitation, because if you're putting people in a spot where they can't earn a living, but they have knowledge and skills that allow them to make money in another way, it's going to be tempting, isn't it?
Honestly, with the whole rehabilitation thing, I feel like a big hindrance is when they put us, like I got out after about 6 years. I got out to a halfway. I was on parole. I lasted 7 days because they made up lies, said I refused to take medication. Like, they really going back and forth. I got sent back so many times on parole. It just felt like I felt so discouraged, man. And I just keep going back. I was more comfortable back in jail on parole, because when you're in a halfway house, they don't care about you. They push your buttons to try to. Honestly, it's money. It's money to them. It's a check. Every time you get in a halfway house, they get money, so they want to get you in, get you out. Like, they're not really there to try to, like, they don't care about us. They don't care about us.
Yeah, halfway excuse me. Halfway houses here in the States are hit or miss. You have some good ones that do try and help people. They got drug and alcohol counselors, things like that. They help you find a job. But if you get one of the big chain ones, like John said, it's all about money. It's like, yeah, you're just here to give us a paycheck. And not only do we get money from the state, but as soon as you get a job, you got to give us $50 a week.
Yeah.
It's a scam. It's a racket.
Wow. Yeah.
Here we are. This is
super chat.
Super chat question from JL Warren.
Yeah.
Private prisons have stockholders just like any business. The focus is on profit. The push is then to ensure recidivism over rehabilitation, legislation to hamstring ex-cons,
And
fill the bank for bonuses.
Yeah, he's exactly right. They want you to come back because the more people they have in there, the more money they make.
Yeah. Because as I said earlier on, and funnily enough, my son is watching this and he's just sent me a WhatsApp message asking me to ask what you guys think about private prisons. But this question sort of ties nicely into that because they're just businesses like any other. It sounds like to me as somebody listening to this conversation.
Every prison up in Canada is all government owned. Some of the halfway houses are privately owned, but most of the halfway houses are government owned as well. So we don't have any private prisons in Canada, I don't think.
Yeah, see, here in the States, like he says, some of them have stockholders. They are corporate entities. They're not there to help anybody. They're just there for money.
See, the Snarks message has gone from that, but he did post later on.
Yeah, there was no message in the super chat. It was just a blank super chat. But if you got the question he asked, so we can ask it at the same time now.
Yeah, he posted. He basically just said, "Today we agree to disagree." That's what he said. That's what he said. So it wasn't necessarily a question, but that was
more of a statement. I think the Iron Charioteer keeps asking questions because he knew I struggled to say his name the first time. Do you think that more money should be spent on programs to reintroduce prisoners back into society instead of the social stigma of all prisoners are bad human beings?
Yeah. But will they? No, because they want to keep people coming back. It's a money grab, man. They should, but will they?
Yeah, I'm with John on this one. There are so many people in prison who just simply made a stupid mistake, especially younger people. They got caught up, in the whole, hey, we're going to go do this dumbass stuff, and they're like, yeah, John raising his hand. And it's a stupid mistake. Help these kids, better themselves, give them an education, give them some kind of skill. And when they get out, don't hold it over their head. Let them go find a job and be a productive member of society.
So what, if I was to give you the option of where money should be spent, let's say a huge pot of money was available now for rehabilitation programs, would you rather see the bulk of that money spent on programs during the sentence or the bulk of that money being spent on mandatory support for everybody that had just been released to help them get on their feet?
I think, honestly, if they're going to put money into anything, put money into giving more hobbies and more things to do. They take away everything so that all we can do is look for drugs and get high and fight and argue. They took away everything. The hobby shop, the libraries getting they give us more things to do to keep us busy. Because if idle minds, are the devil. We start doing stupid stuff, right? We're in a place full of criminals, like you know what I mean? Like none of these guys are like are motivators. Like they all want you to do crime, right? So you have to we need more stuff to do.
Yeah. For me, with my experience in the States, number one, mental health services. Put these guys into counseling. Find out why they did what they did. Find out if there are any underlying factors that cause them to commit these crimes. And vocational programs, give them training. Hobbies is a great idea too, but I think if you have these guys, doing a vocational program and getting paid at the same time, because these vocational programs could be doing welding, and you could be welding stuff for, whatever company you could be doing carpentry work, building, any kind of, table, get a furniture shop going, anything to get these guys some kind of job skills for when they do get out.
So do they not currently get paid for the work they do inside?
We get paid in Canada. I'm gonna tell you what we get paid in Canada. Every 2 weeks. We get like a maximum of $30 every 2 weeks. That's what we get.
You get paid more than a lot of people in the States, as far as I know. Actually, I don't know. I've been out for a while, so my numbers might not be the same as they are now. When I was in prison here in Pennsylvania the last time, they had guys doing factory work, and the top you could get, as far as I remember, was 42 cents an hour, but you only got paid once a month. And after they took out their money for fines and whatever else you owe, and of course the cost for having you in prison that they take, you might end up with $40 for a month.
See, I suppose if there was a payment that was more of an actual wage, that would be set aside for you upon your release, so then that would aid the transition, wouldn't it?
They used to have all those things, but they cut them off. They used to do all those things. They used to have all of it where you could make money, extra money. They cut it all out. All of it got cut.
Yep. Same here. They had all that stuff, and now it's just, we're not worried about that. It's, we're taking that money, and good luck when you get out.
Sorry, Catz.
No,
when you're serving a sentence, do you have to take one of the work programs that you get offered, or can you just say, no, I'm only here for 2 years. I want to rest. I don't want to work.
Yeah, you can do nothing, and you have to do your full time. Yeah, you can just sit there and sleep all your whole sentence away if you want to.
Yeah. Again, here in the States, it depends what state you're in, and that's part of the problem with New Jersey. Not New Jersey, with the U.S. Every state is different. Every state has their own rules. New Jersey, it depends on what prison you're in. If you're in Rahway or Trenton, where 89% of the population is doing a life sentence or never getting out, they don't force you to take a job. You don't have to work. Other prisons, you have to have a job, or you're going to the hole. You're going to get a write-up until you decide you want to work.
So it sounds to me that, like, you're both pretty much on the same page, that a lack of actual funding is seriously harming rehabilitation. Yeah, which is crazy, isn't it? You think,
what it is politicians and, these corporate executives and everything need to stop putting money in their pocket and actually invest it in the future of people.
See, I don't know anything about economics, but I'd love to hear from you guys and someone in the chat about the economics, because of the cost of crime, the cost of policing and investigating, etc. Would, surely you'd think that it would be cheaper to rehabilitate at the source, to get that rehabilitation right, than to investigate crimes when they've occurred afterwards. Is it?
No.
Wow.
It's an industry. It's a money-making industry. If they teach people how to do stuff so they don't come back, they're going to lose this prison industry.
It's a money grab. It's a big money grab.
Yeah, it's just a sad state of affairs, isn't it? Because I'm no expert, but I know some of the people watching may remember I owned a sign company, which I closed in 2019. But I was too small a company. I couldn't buy my own wide format printer, and I used to buy all my wide format print from Park Prison in Bridgend because they had a fully functional sign company. Print and sign company, with the only difference being, obviously, they weren't going out to fit the signs, but they were just subcontract, and they were cheaper than anybody. But the guys who worked there, they were working there, a full shift a full 8-hour shift every day. They were producing really, really high quality work, and I'd like to think that maybe some of them will, leave and go on to, pursue a a job in print or sign work, so that it was for a reason. But, I used to think sometimes then is this sort of easy street for them, and that's why they do it.
Well, here's the thing, though, that they could be easy street to make the sign. But what happens when they get out of jail with nothing and there's no jobs to make signs? What are they going to do? It's easy to get overwhelmed. It's easy to get overwhelmed, and then all of a sudden you're stealing or whatever to get by. It's easy, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to eat, and if you don't have money, you're going to eat somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never really. I mean, obviously, I don't know anything about this, but this conversation has really made me think differently. When we were in the chat last week, and when we were doing the debate, and we were in the comment section, I kind of thought this whole debate would focus on the thing. Not debate, I shouldn't say that. Conversation would focus on the things that are supplied in prison and how they would help rehabilitate. But you've really, really shown me that it's what happens afterwards, the position that people can be left with nothing, no help, and where are you going to turn to? You know what I mean? It's I'd never thought of it like that before, so it's been educational for me, definitely.
Because I've always wondered that very thing. If a prisoner has genuinely got nowhere to go, surely somebody must be helping them, but it doesn't seem as if that's the case in all cases.
Yeah, not all the time. I was lucky. I had family that helped me when I got out of prison in New Jersey and here in Pennsylvania. I know a lot of guys that didn't have that, though. They got out. Yeah. I know one guy, there was a guy in New Jersey. He did 25 years off a life sentence. He was out for 14 days and came back to prison because, well, it's better than living under a bridge.
Yeah.
See, I mean, I've been teaching for 20 years now, if not slightly over. And in that time, I've taught a number of kids who've gone on and ended up in prison. And I think back to a good number of them, and they were good kids, they were nice kids. They were a pleasure to be around. They had nice family, nice parents. They were just good kids that did something bloody stupid. You know what I mean? And it broke my heart to think that, okay, they go in, they serve the time, but when they come out, they're then railroaded down a path that they should never have been on, Yeah. So sad.
I was going to ask a similar question, but what you just said there, Kat, I was going to ask something based around that. Like the worst thing I can think of now is somebody who has killed somebody else, murder, manslaughter, whatever you want to call it. But that can easily happen by accident. A bar fight, a 19, 20-year-old kid gets in a bar fight, he hits a guy, catches him well, the guy goes down and he dies. So he's going to jail, isn't he, for killing somebody purely by accident. And I wonder how many of the people who get convicted for crimes like that, which even though it's still a crime, there was no intention to do it, how many of them leave prison? I don't know if this would be a real criminal, as opposed to somebody who accidentally ended up serving time in jail.
Check it out. I've seen a lot of guys come in with like a year sentence, 2-year sentence, who want to be tough, and they get peer pressured into doing stupid things, and they fall into it, stabbing people, hurting people. They end up with more time from in jail, because you think you go to prison, you just do your time, that's it. No, that's not it at all. There's politics, there's all kinds of shit that you got to avoid, and you got to try to navigate through. People turning on you, people talking crap about you, people, talking your business. It's just a lot of stuff that you need to navigate through in prison, man. And there's a lot of time to do it.
Yeah. Listen, Creaky, my case, guy pulled the knife on me and I defended myself. And unfortunately, I took somebody's life. And my jury, because I would not plead guilty, my jury found in my case that I should have been able to disarm him without harming him because I have a martial arts background. And they sentenced me to 30 years old when I was 19. They sent me to prison for 30 years when I was 19 years old. And that completely changed my life. Not only did I feel like I was being victimized, but it radicalized me to the point that I joined a white supremacy group and founded another one on my own.
But do you think that was because you were young, you went into prison, and you felt that you needed to belong to some group to
and
safe?
yeah, Katz and I had talked about this. There are people that join these groups because they think they need to do that to be safe. My case was a little different. I did it because I was angry and I wanted to destroy the world. If they would have, given me that right to defend myself and been like, hey, this is a tragic thing that happened, but this kid did not mean to kill anybody. He was defending himself, and we need to look at this situation. Every case is different. Some people that are in jail for committing murder, I'm not so sure every murderer in this country is actually guilty of murder. Sometimes these people acted in a moment of passion because there was something else going on. And things like that need to be addressed. We need to have complete overhaul of our justice system here.
Do you think that when things like that go to trial, the jury tend to focus more on what happened? So you took somebody's life.
No.
That was the crime, I suppose. But did they even consider why? I know they would have heard during the trial why it happened and your explanation of what went on and this kind of thing. But do you think that they really pay any mind to that? Doesn't matter. I don't care. You killed somebody, so.
No, what they heard in my trial was my victim was the son of a state police officer and came from a good family, and I was a street kid who had never done anything with his life, and they found me guilty. Yeah,
which, given what you've said there, they may well have done before. Said. He's a kid from the streets. He's got to have done it deliberately. So guilty. And now we'll spend days or weeks listening to what he's going to say, and then still say that he's guilty.
Yeah.
I actually have something that you might be surprised about this, but I've actually, some of the nicest people I've met in prison were lifers who killed somebody in a fit of a moment. And you know what? And then they're doing some of the nicest people, most respectful people I ever met are lifers who killed somebody.
Smart.
I used to hang with a lot of lifers because they knew what was up, man. I tend to gravitate towards older people anyway, but lifers, man, a lot of them are really, really, really nice, genuine people. You would never think they even killed anybody. If they didn't tell you they're a lifer, you would never know.
Yeah. It's amazing now. Oh, so go on.
Sorry, Kat, I keep interrupting you. No, it's just another super chat. That's all. From you read this one out, Katz, because I've been hogging the side chat question.
It's from everybody's favorite J.O. Warren. Don't forget that many career criminals don't have support systems because everybody they know are usually criminals, and associating is a parole violation. So if you get released and there's somebody you've spent time with, does it apply to anyone you spent time with, or just anybody who has also come from any prison? Do you have to know them, or?
Well, here's the thing with me is, man, honestly, everyone I know are criminally ingrained. I lost a lot of friends because I just didn't want to do that life anymore. And you can't be around anyone. You can't be if you're on parole, you cannot be around anybody that's criminally active. People do though anyway, just don't get caught. They're totally against it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's the same thing here in the States. If you're on parole, you're not to associate with anybody that is on parole or has a felony conviction or anything like that. And people do it. You can't watch everybody 24 hours a day, but I definitely agree with this statement. A lot of career criminals, that's all they hang out with is other criminals, and they end up, conspiring to commit some kind of stupid crime and get caught and go back again.
Do you know how many times my friends, old friends were like, "Oh, you're broke. You might as well come sell some dope." You know what I mean? And there's many times I've even considered it. I've even you know what, screw this. I might as well sell some dope. But then I just keep realizing, it ain't worth it. They just keep trying to pull me in. I had to cut them off, man. I had no choice, right? They're not really my friends. They're just jail, criminal associates, I guess.
Yeah. And listen, John, I know we're in different parts of the world, but we have this amazing technology called the interwebs. So you ever need somebody, man, reach out to me.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
It's, the internet is amazing.
I think we should do like a year reunion. We'll come back in a year and we'll do a reunion.
There you go. Thank you, man.
Hey, I'd love us to host that one. Absolutely love it. What's this one on the screen?
This is a statement rather than a question, but it's more of a statement, isn't it? Have you got any comments to make on it, guys?
I do, definitely. In my case, I'm going to focus on the thing that happened here in Pennsylvania. I was having a severe bout of depression. I got drunk and I walked out in the middle of the street and asked the cops to shoot me and get it over with. Just kill me. I'm done with it. And instead of getting me mental health help, they took me to court for 6 counts of attempted murder of a police officer because I had a knife this long. And they found me guilty and sentenced me to 22 years to life in prison because I didn't have enough money to get a real lawyer. And it took me 37 months to have that thrown out on appeals, but I never would have even went to jail if I'd had money. If I'd have been somebody, well off in the community, they just sent me, up to a mental health facility for a couple of weeks, and they'd have got me some help, and then I could have paid for my own therapist or psychologist or whatever, and I probably never would have even went to jail. But because I was poor and, working in a factory and didn't really have enough money to afford a lawyer, I got stuck defending myself. And because I'm not originally from Pennsylvania, well, they sent me to prison.
Here's the big disadvantage. We have a lot of disadvantages coming at us. Okay, so to this statement, listen. So everybody's working together to get us in jail. Like they got the big labels, record labels, pushing artists to glorify crime and drug use and all these things. And listen, I for sure used to listen to Uncle Murder, G Unit, and I wanted to do violent shit. I would hear it all day long, and I wanted to go do stuff because the music glorified it. And I didn't see it. I was naive and dumb. But now, listen, these are glorifying drug use, crime, and everyone thinks it's cool to go to jail. And I'm like, yo, you guys don't know really what jail's all about. You know what I mean? And it's really bad.
So do you get people, like, as part of any rehabilitation program, I know you said, they need improvement, but do you get people who are people who serve time who then done a complete 180 who come back in and try and give advice to current, people like yourselves? Do you ever find going back in and saying, listen, guys,
There's always guys that come back. There'd be guys who went to jail, turn their life to God and stuff. They come back in and preach to us and try to help us. And I always respected those guys. I always did.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if New Jersey still does this, but they founded the original Scared Straight program. It was run by the Lifers group, and they would bring, kids in from, the ghetto, basically, underprivileged kids, and they would speak to them about what it's like to be in prison and tell them, listen, if you're out there doing dirt, committing crimes, stop now while you still have a chance, because once you turn 18, you might end up in here with the big boys.
We need more of that. We need more of people telling the truth. Prison isn't the place to go. Crime isn't the way to do it. We need more people spitting this is really the reality of it. If you do this stuff, you're going to end up here. You're not going to have any friends. Your family's going to disown you. You're going to bum them for money. It's a lot of toll on this thing. It just on us. Imagine our family members who have to go through. We're calling them for money. We need them to do this, that. Yeah. It's very taxing on our family members as well, right?
Yeah, and listen, you got some people, like in my case, most of my family, they stuck around for the first couple of years, and then they just kind of disappeared because they didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know what to say. They didn't know how to help me.
Life goes on.
Yeah.
Life goes on, right? Life goes on. It has to, right?
Yeah. You're stuck in this prison environment, and it's almost like you're in your own little time bubble. Everybody else is moving forward, and you're stagnating until you get out.
Yeah. And people were cool with me for the first 6 months, though. Yeah, you just did 10 years. Just give yourself some time. But after a year, everyone just forgot about it. And you're not there yet. You're not fully there yet. I'm like, yo, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around not being in a jail cell.
It's because they didn't go through that experience. They don't understand it takes a while, especially like you said, after a decade.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a quick turnaround.
No.
So would you say there's like a golden period when you first come out of, I don't know, however many months, however many years, where that's where the most danger is? Or do you think it's always... Sorry, John, go on.
People sympathize for you for about a couple months, but then they're like, oh, well, you don't have a job yet, you don't have a place yet. They'll sympathize with you for a minute. Oh, well, just relax, get your feet ready. But then eventually, like, well, you should have everything by now. Why don't you?
Yeah.
So the chance of like reoffending then it's not, it's kind of like on immediate release. It's when that period has died down, do you think, where reality sets in a little bit more, and that's where the chance of reoffending is higher? Is that what you'd say? Or
I would, yeah. I think when guys first get out, they're like, okay, cool, I'm out. You know, let me get my stuff together, yada yada yada, whatever. And then they realize how hard it is, and they start thinking about, you know, listen, you know, this is getting hard. You know, I might have to go do something to make a few bucks, and that's when it starts getting dangerous. I don't know if John will agree with me, but for me, it was probably about that 6-month period when I first got out after doing the 12 and a half years that I started thinking about, this is getting way too hard. Nothing's falling into place. I might as well just go knock over a bank or something.
Yeah, it's more work to try to stay out of jail than it is to just give up and just go do crime. It's every day to not just give up and just be like, you know what, it's easier to, because you think it's fast money in your head, but really it's not. It's not fast money. It's not good at all, because, you know, I used to be a big shoplifter when I was a kid. I used to steal to survive. I was homeless, steal. So even now to this day, I'll be walking in Walmart, I'm like, I could easily steal that. I'm like, nope, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, but my mind was so ingrained, you know, with stealing everything. It's so much, my mind was like, you could easily just grab that. And I was kind of like, no, I don't want nothing to do with that, because one mistake could lead to like a whole like snowball effect of other mistakes, right?
Mm.
Yeah, this comment here. When I got out in 2004, things had changed so very much, and you know, you have to remember too, my case is different. Everybody's case is different from everybody else's. In my case, I had become an extremist. You know, I was a white supremacist, and I was hardcore about it. I would punch somebody in the face just for looking at me wrong. You know, and heavens forbid somebody, you know, tried to threaten me, I'm stabbing them. So when I got out of prison, I had this mindset to always have my head on a swivel, always be on guard. I could be in a supermarket, you know, and standing in line, and somebody would just barely brush up against me, and I would snap. And I'm like, yo, you know, who are you touching? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, like, excuse me. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. You better know it, you know. And it took me a while to realize, like, hey, you're not in prison anymore. You need to calm down. Yeah.
But you think that's part of what you were saying earlier on, though, about, I can't remember if it was you or John said it, about being institutionalized by being in prison for so long, and it takes a while for you to break those habits, I guess. Like,
yeah,
listen, doing anything else for 12 years.
John, I'm going to tell you honestly, I did 12 years, 7 months, and 19 days. And when I got out in 2004, I didn't start feeling normal again, like just an average citizen again, until at least, I want to say, like 2010, 2011. You know, it takes a while. You just got to be patient and hang on.
Yeah.
Mm.
I feel like when I first got out, the weirdest stuff was like people looking at me, like being in crowds of places, like, like everyone's staring at you. Because in prison, you try not to stare people in the eye. It's like a respect thing, you know what I mean? So when everyone's staring at you, you can feel overwhelming. You don't want to be in crowded places. Like, I thought that was a little bit weird at first. Like, being in the mall was kind of weird, and being around a lot of people was
Listen, I still have that issue. If my wife and I go to Walmart on a busy Friday, I can't be in there more than 5-10 minutes, and I start getting anxiety attacks because there's just too many people. And it's like, oh man, I start having flashbacks of being in the prison yard, and like I'm on edge, ready to go. Like, who's looking at me? Who's coming up behind me?
Another thing, weird, people running behind you. You think because they're running behind you,
man,
dogging. It's like, oh shoot, you scared the crap out of me.
You know, yeah. When I first got out, I got back together with my daughter's mom, and I was sleeping on the couch the one day, and she came up to me and grabbed my shoulder to wake me up, and I almost punched her dead in the face. You know, it's that prison thing. You don't touch anybody when they're sleeping. You're gonna get hurt.
So a lot of the behaviors you come across in prison then cause you to not paranoid you feel paranoid in certain situations, like for example, you know, when you've just been released, you're at the supermarket and somebody's looking at you. Are you thinking he's looking at, he knows
They know I was in prison. They know me. They know I'm in prison. They know I'm a prisoner.
Either you're thinking they know I just got out of prison, or they know me from somewhere and they're about to do something or say something to me, and I'm going to have to hit them.
So it makes you nervous, and like that sort of behavior, I would imagine, then would just send you straight back in.
People don't even stare you down in prison unless they're trying to something. If you get stared down in prison, it's someone wants to fight you, and it's like someone stare you down outside. It's like, well, what? What's that? Like,
and that's exactly what I mean. That's exactly what I mean.
I don't care. Everyone looks at me anyway, so I just like, well, I'll smile or whatever. I'm used to it now. But like, I'll get mad. They're like, what? What are you looking at? What, you want someone beef or something? Most people will be mad about that.
Me, I get nervous because I got in so many fights and did so much stupid stuff. I'm thinking, man, do I know this guy from prison? Did I do something wrong to him? Like, am I about to get punched in the face?
That's another thing, too. That's another thing. We go to jail for all this time. We have old beefs that we don't even know. And us, that's so long that we don't care, but we have to worry about, do these guys still care? Am I going to run into guys? Like, am I going to run into an old beef that I don't want to do with anymore? Am I going to get in more trouble? It's a lot of stuff on your mind, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer this question from Iron Charioteer, because we didn't have internet when I went to prison. That wasn't even a thing.
Maybe if you limited access, because you got to think, if prisoners, a lot of those for child porn and stuff, they might get access to the wrong things, right? So you got to be careful with the access to prison internet, because a lot of people in prison are not allowed to be on the internet.
Yeah, and listen, you can still get the newspaper in prison, so you can stay up to date. You know.
Yeah. So what about internet? What about someone has like an ex-girlfriend they beat up, and you know what, he's on the internet trying to contact her, right?
Wow.
Situations for internet could cause problems for victims on the outside. Users trying to get a hold. You know what I mean? There could be some. I love internet, so me saying there should be internet, but I'm saying that it may be for me. Limited. Could be dangerous. Could be dangerous for people on the street, right? Because people are trying to make different fake accounts, trying to get a hold of. Like, you never know.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I'm going to ask that question at the end. Actually, I'm going to ask that one at the end. Sorry. Right. We got another one there, Creaky.
Yeah. Another one on the screen.
When you will go to prison for a long time, it's a totally different person. To be honest, I can't. I definitely came out a lot different than what I went in when I was in prison in New Jersey. I was a semi-pro MMA fighter. I was trying to get my career going, and I had this horrible incident happen where I took somebody's life, and I ended up in prison for the next 12 and a half years. And when I got out, I wasn't the same person. I didn't treat people the way I did before I went in. I was very standoffish for a long time. I did still have those white supremacist views that I picked up in prison, because I didn't believe that before I went to prison. I adopted those ideologies in the prison system. So when I got out, I was most definitely a different person. And luckily, I've let go of all that hate and anger and everything, but it took a long time. From 2004 till 2012, I still had that mindset. And then I finally stepped out of the white supremacy religion and started to just let go of all that anger and hate and everything to become the person I am today. It was a long journey back.
And with me, I went to prison, in the gang life, in the doing robberies, selling dope, robbing drug dealers. I didn't go to prison trying to change, right? So I was in prison selling dope, doing dope, robbing people. I was just doing the same stuff. And 5 years in, it's going to sound cliche, but God came to me when I was in the hole for 30 days, and he revealed himself to me in a way that I knew he was real. That's a whole other discussion. But after that, man, I really tried to change my ways and do better. And, a lot of people think, well, you gave your life to God. Listen, that was the hardest thing I ever did because I lost friends. Friends don't even want to talk to him anymore because they don't want to hear about Jesus. They don't want to hear about God. So I had to really lose a lot of people for my faith, and the only reason I'm even here today is because of God. And he helped me get my GED in prison. I would have never got my GED if I didn't go to prison. I didn't give a shit. I didn't care. But I went there and I was forced to go away for a long time where I had plenty of time to figure out, because I did a lot of stupid stuff, but over time, God really changed my heart and I seen what was important. Right. And that whole lifestyle is the wrong way to go.
Yeah.
I tried it my way and I failed. So now I'm trying it God's way. And, it's still a little bit tough because, it's not just like smell the roses anymore. Now everyone's like hating on me. They're judging me because of my belief in God. So it's still difficult. It's still every day. Damned if I do, damned if I don't.
Yeah.
Sorry, got my headphones out. So, I don't know if anyone said anything to me then, but I couldn't hear as I was trying to find my headphones. So, obviously, you've both come out, you both come out very different people, and I know from my conversation with you, Grumpy, that it seemed that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed that you feel that the biggest part of your rehabilitation come after you left. Would I be right with that?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. The biggest part of my rehabilitation was finding, certain people that showed me empathy and would just talk to me. That really helped a lot. And the fact that I decided, like John says, I'm done with that lifestyle. I don't want to be that person anymore.
And you would say, John, that you...
I got a question.
Yeah,
here.
Go on.
Listen, John, I will let you answer it now, right? But let me address it first, because I don't think you said you needed God to be a good person. I think what you were saying is you choosing to believe in God helped you become a better person. So you answer it yourself, but I think that's a fairly accurate summary of what you said.
I was always a good person. I just made bad choices. And when I started really putting my faith into God, I started trying to do more things the way God would want. And I felt like, things started going better for me. I started getting better opportunities. I started putting out love instead of hate, because what you put out in the universe is what you get back. You know what I mean? So if you're throwing out hate all day, you're going to get hate all day. So I try to throw love out there and expect love back.
And I want to address this real quick because I am an atheist. I do not believe in gods or gods. But as an atheist, and I say this on my channel all the time, I don't care what somebody's religion is, as long as they're doing good and being a good person. So, hey, if that's, getting you through the day and making you a better man, stick with it.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people complaining that I make so many videos against religion, but I don't. I make videos against religious fundamentalists, extremists. Yeah. I don't care. I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school.
Well, I believe that honestly, religion is taking its own corruption. It's corrupt these days. I believe God is angry with religion because religion has formed its own greedy corruptness. It's bad.
Yeah, and again, you've got these mega church pastors that are making it about money, like private prisons make it about money. Soon as this gets into the equation, everything changes.
Yeah.
Not everybody who claims to be good is good, right? So we got to really research it, because people can say they're good and they want to help, but there's a lot of false people claiming this and that these days, right?
Yeah, because I've got Kent Hovind coming after me quite regularly.
And I watched that video. The other day of that guy coming at you. I did.
Well, that's my third whacking atheist, right? And I've never said I'm an atheist. It's a running joke now. I'm not an atheist. I just don't believe in God. And people can make of that what they will. I just choose not to label myself as an atheist. But the point I'm trying to make is somebody like Kent Hovind, that's the type of person I make videos about.
Yeah.
MC Toon is a Christian. He's a friend of mine through what we do here. I'm not telling somebody like MC Toon, who is just a Christian, that they're wrong for believing in God just because I don't. The people I go after are the extremists.
Yeah.
Kent Hovind, Kenneth Copeland, people like that.
Yeah.
People who are using religion to claim the earth is flat.
False preachers.
Yeah.
And like in my case, I go after these people claiming religion gives them a right to be racist.
No, that's no.
Yeah.
God leads in love. If you're not showing love, then that's something totally else. Because you got to be it's crazy.
Yeah. And Creaky, listen, not for nothing, man. I'm originally from New Jersey. You know what I mean? Half of my family's Italian. So you need to whack somebody back. You just let me know. We'll handle that. All right.
Funny you should bring that up. No, when you were talking earlier on about the white supremacists and there was the black something Israelites.
Black Hebrew Israelites.
Yeah, I made a video about a guy a long time ago. Can you remember that video? And I had a death threat come via email. Anonymously, obviously, but I don't have to be a genius to work out who sent that email.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, religious fundamentalists and extremists are what I don't like. Doesn't bother me if somebody's Christian, Catholic, Muslim. You be whatever you want, as long as it makes you happy and you don't hurt anyone else. And more importantly, you're not trying to ram it into people's face.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people these days, if they don't agree with something, they want to just go against it. Like they just, it's like they're obviously holding on to something. If my beliefs affects your soul, like your spirit makes you mad, and that's something you're holding on to, not me. Like know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. A good friend of mine, he lives opposite my house, and I've known him for 30 years, is a reverend in the local Pentecostal church. And he is one of the best guys I know. Yeah. One of the best guys I know. So, people will always judge based on appearance because clearly the Kent Hovind video, if you looked at the comment section, that Creaky guy, clearly been to prison. He's got a tattoo on his face and his throat. So I've been to jail just because I've got tattoos.
Clearly.
The only policeman I've ever spoken to in my life is my brother. But tattoos, bald head, been to jail. So it's just a weird thing how people misunderstand what you mean when you say something, which is why, what I answered for John. John didn't say he needed God to be good.
Yeah. Me believing in God has helped me want to be better. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
That's great.
Exactly.
Right. It's weird because if it helps me be better, why are people so against it? That's what kind of like makes me wonder, why are people so against what I believe, and why are they so hurt and triggered by it? If I mention the Bible, or why does it hurt their soul so bad?
It's tribalism. It's simple as that. Everybody nowadays needs to pick a side, and they have to defend that side because the other side has to be wrong. Because if they're not wrong, then you're wrong. And they can't be wrong. Everybody has to be right.
Here's what I heard this reality. And I live by this. Someone told me, what if I'm wrong about my beliefs? If I'm wrong about it, I have nothing to lose. I'll live a happy, peaceful life. If they're wrong, they have everything to lose. That's all I say. That's all I ever say to anybody. If I'm wrong, I got nothing to lose. I'll live a happy, peaceful life. That's all I tell people. Like, just think about it. Right?
Yeah. Listen. I don't think anybody has anything to lose regardless of their belief or non-belief. As long as you're being a decent human being, don't worry about what somebody else believes or what they don't believe. It's not your business. Yeah.
Really. More people are worried about what other people are doing more than what they're own doing, which is probably making them fail. Because if you worry about yourself and what you're doing instead of what everyone else is doing, And
honestly, that is a prison thing. You don't worry about what somebody else is doing. You worry about your own damn self.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what somebody else is doing can't help or hinder you unless you choose to let it do one of those things.
That's the thing in prison, though. Everybody doesn't mind them. They're all, your business is known completely. Like, honestly, it's so hard to be private in prison because everyone is so nosy, man. They're always catching plays. It's called catching plays, where people just will watch you out in the yard. They'll watch what you're doing. They'll watch what you're seeing. Like, if you have dope and you're trying to make some deals, people just watch you all day long. It's very hard to be inconspicuous in jail because everyone's watching every move you make.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you get caught watching too often,
oh yeah,
you're liable to get done.
Well, I have got a question I want to. Have we got any more questions, Creek? Before I
Nothing has come in as yet, and we're 5 minutes from the end. So
I'll throw this out just before we finish it because and it's basically like we've all seen the TV programs where somebody goes to prison, whether it be Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger or whatever, and they find the biggest, toughest guy in the prison and they punch him in the face and then everything's going to be all right because they, that kind of thing. And I know that's all silly and it's Hollywood, etc. But, and obviously I know from the chat with you before that you said prisons do have a pecking order, etc. But how much does it affect your daily life, that kind of pecking order in prison? Or can you stay out of it if you want to?
I'll let John answer this first if he wants.
Well, I think status has a lot to do with a lot of things. Who you know is important. If you go to jail with a bunch of your buddies, and there's a good chance you'll be okay. But I see a lot of guys come in with nobody, and they get into debt. They get, And if you get checked and you don't, if you get bullied and you keep letting it happen, they're just going to keep doing it. So you kind of got to stand up for yourself in some sort of way. It sucks though because some people don't want confrontation. They don't like it, so they'll end up getting stuck in that being bullied position for their whole time, and it makes you want to kill themselves. It's really hard, right? But in jail, kind of, and if you say, let's say me and this guy, he doesn't like me, he calls me a goof or something, and I don't do anything. I have all my buddies say, "Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to go get him, you got to go get him." So you're basically, and you have to like make a choice. Well, do I want to do this? Do I want to go stab this guy because he called me a name because everyone's telling me to, or do I want to just be a bitch? And there's a whole bunch of stuff that like it's going through your mind all day long in prison. That's stressful stuff.
My case again is a little different. I put myself in the spotlight. I founded a prison gang, or helped found a prison gang. And I had the tattoo, I got a big giant swastika still waiting to get covered up on my side someday. And I would go out in the yard and I'd take my shirt off and hit the weight pile. And I'm not the biggest guy in the prison. The most I ever got up to was 240 pounds. There's guys a lot bigger, especially in Trenton and Rahway. I'm 6 foot tall. At the time, I think I was probably 190. I wasn't even above 200 pounds. So I'm not one of the biggest guys in the prison. But because of who I was, my status, being the leader, or one of the leaders of this prison gang, there were younger guys that were, part of the Black Hebrew Israelites or some other, organization or figured I'm going to try and take him out and make a name for myself, and bad things happen. I got stabbed a couple of times. I've had people try and shank me a couple of times, and I stabbed a lot of people in return for it. I did some horrifying things while I was in prison simply because of my status. There, like you said, there is a pecking order. And during my time, there wasn't just a pecking order. There was a deep racial divide in prison. White people hung with white people. If you didn't, you had a target, clearly on your back. Black guys hung with the black guys. Depending on what group if you're black, depending on what group you belong to, that's the group you stick with. Because if you're a Muslim and these guys are Black Hebrew Israelites, they're not going to get along, and that's none of your business being a white guy. You leave that alone. It's like John said earlier, it's politics. There's prison politics, and you need to figure them out quick or you're going to get hurt.
Right, we've got one more super chat that's come in, and this is from Jim Broughton. Is it, Catz? I always say his name. It's Broughton, isn't it? We had
Broughton,
yeah, and it's probably the most important question of the night. Well, it is in my opinion, anyway. And Jim asks, "Did the warden throw a party at the county jail?"
I wish.
Jim's obviously an Elvis Presley fan then.
But we did find our own ways to party. We found our own ways to bring in the party, though. There was
I
parties.
bet.
Not every day was bad. I'll give you that much. There was some decent times, but it all depends on your own mindset. You can make a time decent if you want to, right?
Yeah.
I made a lot of really good hooch in my 12 and a half years.
Oh, brilliant. Maybe you could go into business at selling it now. Like, mass produce it, make your own brand.
Yeah.
But guys, because we do normally have a fairly hard stop at around about 9, which it is. But I've been fascinated listening to this. I really, really have. Do you? I'll put both the links to your channels in the description. But just one more time for anyone that missed the beginning, really shill yourself out. Tell people what you're all about. Tell them to go and check your channels out. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I got another channel. I open up Pokemon packs on YouTube. I just made a new channel. It's got 250 subscribers already. It's only been 2 weeks. So that's I do that because I wanted to I wanted to be one of you guys. I was a rapper. I made videos. I had a YouTube channel, but I wasn't a YouTuber yet. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get into Pokemon, and I'm just going to pick a niche and just go for it. So that's what I do. I also got my music channel that's in the description, and I'd appreciate if you come check me out. I would love to come back on these guys' show. So if you want me back on the show for anything else, hit them in the comments. Let them know they want me.
Oh,
well, John, I do a live show on my channel on Sundays as well, and every so often I'll bring somebody on just to chat. So
I'm in the conspiracy. I'm a conspiracy nut myself. Project Bluebeam, 5G. That's how Toon found me.
That goes for both of you. It would be a very interesting conversation, I think. And I'm going to shut up now because I feel like I've talked way too much tonight.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe to my channels, guys. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, man, shout out to all these guys. This has been a really fun discussion. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great to have you on. And I will be certainly tweeting out your music over the next few days. And I'd love to, like Creaky just said there, you're more than welcome to come on either of my channels as well. And have discussions about the conspiracies and whatnot. So I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll be speaking. I'm sure it isn't. And do go and check out the link in the description to his channel. And I will also add the Pokemon channel link to it. Grumpy, go on, mate. Chill yourself out. Tell us what you're all about and get people.
Alrighty. So I am the grumpy old dude. I am a former white supremacist extremist who now has a YouTube channel dedicated to debunking racism and hate groups. I have a new live stream show that I am calling The Formers, which is full of all different kinds of activists in all different types of fields. I'm also a volunteer member with a group known as Beyond Barriers, which is very active in the countering and preventing violent extremism. And if you find it in your hearts, please go check out my channel, give me a subscription. And if you like what I do, you can also now find me on Patreon. I don't have any content on there yet, but there will be stuff coming up here in February.
Awesome. And I highly recommend subscribing to both these gentlemen. But that's the last words I will say tonight. I will pass you over to Creaky.
The last words I want to say is, why hasn't anybody watched the video I put up yesterday? It's free. You haven't even got to pay.
I heard that on my last one. How many views are you on with it?
Nobody has watched it.
Oh,
I woke
John,
up this morning and I was inconsolable. I went through half a roll of Andrex, drying the snot from my nose. Nobody's watched it.
I'll go watch it right now. My bad, bro.
Yeah.
It was you, was it?
I did.
It was you that didn't watch it. I don't know what it is. Every so often I'll get one video and it just like nobody will watch it. It's bizarre.
I don't think my notification came up that you did a video yesterday.
Yeah, came out yesterday.
All right, I'll go check it out.
It's truly bizarre. But anyway, I'm
getting the same.
You got no views?
Sorry,
Creaky?
It's usually in the first 24 hours I'll get about 15 to 20,000, and this video's on like 8,000.
Oh, Creaky Blinder. I'm looking at it now. I'm gonna go give it a like for you.
I had the same. I usually get about 22,000 in the first 24 hours.
Yeah.
I put a video out last week. It's still not even what I get in one day. You know, and I've had that for a while now.
I knew it was going to be shit straight away.
I'm approved. There's a like right there. Boom. Hit the like button for you, Creaky.
Thank you very much. My computer's trying to shut down. This could be bad. No, please don't.
Oh, heck.
Right, no, I've saved it. It's a stupid Windows update.
You got 644 comments, Creaky. Come on. I think you're.
I know.
I don't have nearly as many comments. Come on now, Creaky.
I'm going to have to try and keep up. Right, guys, I'm about for 2 minutes. I'm just going to kill the stream. Thanks to everybody that super chatted. Thanks to everybody that subscribed. This was being streamed on Twitch again because I'm a selfish piece of shit and I'm trying to get my Twitch watch time up. So, yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Take care.
See you later.